We've had the tough conversations that we needed to have. We disagreed to agree on things, but we've all come together to say things need to be different. So we're going to hear two perspectives, one from police departments who have worked directly with us. Minneapolis, wasn't that the same city where Castile was killed just a couple years ago, Minneapolis? Is that correct?
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Yes.
Was that 1 or 2 years ago?
About 3 years.
3 years ago. I wonder what the Minneapolis Police Department has done over these last 3 years. And I wonder, had they been involved in doing some of the things that we're doing here? Mind you, our press conference was scheduled before our brother was killed. But when voices come up to say that, when are we going to start thinking about solutions? Let me ask this question. How many God-fearing men and women are in the room? God-fearing men and women. So guess what, South Florida? Guess what, City of Miami, City North Miami, Miami-Dade, Miami Gardens? God is calling us to be an example for the whole world right now.
Yes, sir.
And if we fumble this, there'll be more killings of brothers going out for a job. There'll be more women claiming that a black man did it. There'll be more individuals killed by police officers with no justice. But if we continue, we're way ahead of the curve right now. Our working relationships go back to 2012. And we're not where we need to be. You know, the training that we do at the police department is labeled 101. How many of us have been to college? So you get the picture. We got a long way to go. But I will say this, because of the leadership in our county, and because of the right men and women being placed at the right time on the police force, in the presence of the brotherhood. Brotherhood!
Brotherhood!
There should be a circle of brotherhood in every city across America.
That's right. That's right.
And maybe as we continue to work together, one day they will be. And I just go back to say, what has that police department in Minneapolis done over these last 3 years? And what are we not going to allow them to do over the next 6 months? Find somewhere else in America right now where you have 4 police chiefs and directors standing together in solidarity and saying it's wrong. Not waiting for it to play out in the courts. Not waiting for the hidden video or reading the transcript of the police report. But because it is. Thank you, gentlemen. And it's no coincidence that they're here. Number one, I'll tell it to the police officers who are here. Try something like that when the Circle of Brotherhood is around.
Come on. Come on, sir.
See, some of us are not afraid to lose our lives for the cause of justice.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And there's going to come a time, which is why this is so important. It's going to come a time across this country when it's not going to be people with cameras. They're going to put down the cameras.
Yep.
Because enough is enough. I encourage citizens to become so informed in legal self-defense, physical self-defense, spiritual self-defense, because we have to learn how to sound the alarm. I could not have stood with a camera and watched that take place. And if it would have taken me to my grave, then so be it. And so we have to be mindful of those things. Citizens are reacting according to their level of how they know how to deal with their anger and their frustration. And the Circle of Brotherhood. Brotherhood!
Brotherhood!
One brother?
One hood!
Who do we serve?
Our community!
Notice, our motto is that we are black men doing what?
Solving
our own
community
problems. Not just being angry and upset, but solving. Find me another city that has the kind of working relationship with people from the community and the police departments, and I'll show you a city if it stays on that course, and a county if it stays on that course, that's headed to be an example of paradise. Because we got to work together. I want to say this to the community. Here's one of our calls to action. If someone stepped on your toe, would your toe tell you that someone stepped on it? Or would your mind tell you that someone stepped on it? The toe is a part of the body. And when any part of your body is affected or afflicted with pain, frustration, and injustice, then the whole body should feel it. So here's our call to action for the community today. Our call to action is this. We've been disconnected from our body. And so we don't act like, until now, that a wrong in Minneapolis is a wrong in Miami-Dade County. We don't want these artificial boundaries to be set up. See, and don't get it lost and twisted. This preference is not just about our working relationship with the police department. It's about a call for justice. And please make sure that that is shared. It's about our community being respected to the point where those involved, from whatever angle you may see, also respect the fact that justice will be served. The flames you see burning in Minneapolis right now today, those flames were already smoldering on the inside of hearts and men who have callously never seen justice in these issues. So don't wait till the fire gets out of control and say that there shouldn't be no fire. And that's what I love about being blessed to work in this county. So we want to thank Miami-Dade and all of us who are here today for being the toe for the rest of the country. Being a toe for Minneapolis. Being a toe for Indianapolis. Being a toe for Kentucky. Being a toe for Georgia. So community, from this day forward, no matter where we our jurisdiction or where we live, it's our responsibility to sound as long a call for justice as the person who was personally affected in those situations. No more business as usual, community. We're calling for a task force to be established so that members of our community can get more training in race relations, because we surely do need it. Anytime people still think it's all right to say a black man did it in 2020, we got a long way to go. We call for continued working and development with our great officers and our county and our officials, because there's so much more to do, and we're just getting started. And for those of you who are out there nationally, it's not Kool-Aid that you drank today. These are real things going on, and these are real men and women, and we have no problem coming to your city, to your state, to your jurisdiction to check what needs to be checked. But most importantly, family, train who needs to be trained, and transform who needs to be transformed, and get rid of the garbage that needs to go out in today's trash. Thank you for supporting the Circle of Brotherhood. Continue to tune into our website for more information. And if you signed in today, you'll be knowing exactly what our next steps and our next actions are. Thank you for your time today, family.
As I come to you as a parent who has lost a child to senseless gun violence. And every time I see the news and I see somebody that's shot and killed, I see somebody that is unarmed, I see our little black and brown boys and some of our young ladies being shot and killed, of course it reminds me of my son. Of course it does. This is something I carry every day. And I always ask myself about those parents and how they are going to withstand what they're about to face.
Because make no mistake, every person of color in this country who has to watch these images and has to see it in their social media feeds and has to deal with this as their reality and wonder if they or their loved ones or their friends or their neighbors may be next, they're impacted. The pain and the trauma that many people of color are feeling right now may be unfathomable to our allies, but it's real. The sad statistic in this country is that African American men are almost 3 times as likely to die from police violence as opposed to their white counterparts. Close to 3 times as likely. That's problematic.
As you mentioned, I'm not new to this community as well. I have actually been and have had the opportunity to share and work with the Circle of Brotherhood, with the Peacemakers program, and making sure that we as community members speak up. I've taken on a new role, and what I really feel that is important is transparency, is accountability, is leadership in this community, and that's what I hope to have the opportunity to do. What I know is, and I heard yesterday that racism is a public health crisis. We really need to start thinking about how we can actually do something about this. As a social worker and social service advocate for the past 26 years, that has been my role and goal, is really to start addressing some of the issues and the needs of our communities and making sure that we are all together in this project.
Because my heart's broken for what's happening in our country. And what hurts me even more that our children are watching this. My little kids are watching this to see how us adults are gonna make this community a better place. And what this community needs right now and this country needs is leadership from everyone in this room. And every time I come in this room, I feel that leadership. Give you a quick perspective of my police department. Most of my officers who you see back there are the same age as my son. They're your kids' age. There are children who are serving this community right now. It's not the old generation, this is the new generation. And they're watching us, how we handle this, okay? And what we train them is from the ground up from here, so they understand how to treat the community in the different perspectives and the importance of sanctity of life.
What happened there is illegal. The action that that officer took was illegal. And so the law already exists, it's just that it's been ignored, but it exists. And to your point, I know that it sounds counterintuitive. The question you asked about what else could be done. Believe it or not, call 911. Call 911 and say, I am witnessing right now an officer harming someone, they're killing someone, this is what is happening. That way that can be recorded, that time is recorded, more people respond, and then hopefully somebody has the courage to intervene and stop what's happening. So I know it kind of sounds a little counterintuitive, but no, you call 911 and you say, this is what I'm witnessing right now.
Everyone in here is a human being, and you know when somebody says, I can't breathe, what that means. That means that they're suffering. You heard it on the video as you were mentioning, even the citizens standing by were saying, let them up. My God, let them up. So there doesn't need to be legislation, it's just humanistic. You need to know, and we as law enforcement officers need to know that that needs to stop. And somebody standing by there should have stopped it. And that's what we're here together to say, we will stop it. Our men and women working with us will stop it.
Brother Lyle is right. We have, through the Cheap Press Foundation, the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, been working in Liberty City for the past 15 years. And before that, as a Miami Beach police officer, I worked in the community. And just like the mayor said, I was out there 30 years ago when we were all out there. And then the riot after that. And then the one after that. And if you had a heart, you were affected. If you couldn't feel the pain that a community was going through and you couldn't see it in their faces like I saw it, and see hate, and see disdain, and see somebody looking at me without knowing who I am, what I am, how I am. All they saw was this badge, this gun, and I must represent the wrong thing. So I promised myself, as the mayor did, that if I ever got an opportunity to change that conversation, I would. And when I came here to Liberty City and met Brother Lyle for the first time, it was magical. It was MCI at its infancy. He was wondering what the hell a cop from Key Biscayne was doing in Liberty City. And we talked. And we talked as men. And we talked as equals. And I came to respect this man and what he does more than just about anybody else. And the reason I do that is because what he does with honor, he does with purpose, and he does it for the right reason.
You know, even well-intentioned people have biases. And if we deny that, we're just fooling ourselves, all right? We need to recognize it. Because, as training points out, policing based on stereotypes it's ineffective, it's unsafe, but mostly it's unjust. We also have for many years, run a Citizens Police Academy, 16-week program that enables participants to better understand police training, procedures, philosophy, so that we can work together to keep our communities safe. And we have an outreach for teenagers that seek to combat misperceptions about the police. So I'm here today to condemn racial stereotypes, but also to condemn violence as a way to seek justice. We have been working closely with the Circle of Brotherhood for many years to combat racism and to help train our youth and our ex-felons to become productive members of our community. I want to thank the Circle of Brotherhood for all they do each and every day to help our communities in need. And I pledge that our administration won't stop trying to combat racial stereotypes and the abuse of power. And as I was sitting here, I was reminded of myself 30 years ago, around this time, 30 years ago. Actually, it was after the McDuffie incident, the riots, and I was actually with the police department. I was a firefighter, but I was with the Miami Police Department as a SWAT medic. And I remember looking back at our city, and there were 10 major fires going on in that city. And there I pledged, along with the other folks that were with me, that this should never happen again. We have come a long way in this community. We have, but we have a long way to go. And so again, thank you for allowing me to participate in your news conference today. I want to thank all the men, the fine men and women of the Miami-Dade and other police departments in our great community that are here. The vast majority are good, honest people. They're your neighbors. They're our friends. They're here to protect us. But every once in a while, somebody does something that they shouldn't, and that needs to be brought to justice, just like what happened in Minneapolis. And so, I leave you with that. Thank you very much. God bless you all.